The following is a production of Learfield Sports.
The Badger Hockey Digest, presented by Charter Communications.
Hi, welcome to the Badger Hockey Digest, brought to you by Charter. I'm Brian Posick with Wisconsin head coach Mike Eaves. Well, the Wisconsin Badgers celebrated the 50th anniversary in the modern era of Badger hockey, first with a grand opening of the long overdue on-ice or on-campus hockey rink known as LeBron Arena, and ending with a trip to the NCAA tournament. In between, the Badgers celebrated 22 wins, home ice in the first round of the WCHA playoffs, and the Broadmoor Trophy in their final season in the Western Collegiate Hockey Association. And Mike, this will be a season that we will all remember because it was quite a ride, wasn't it?
It was. It was one of the most interesting, frustrating, rewarding rides that I've had here in 11 years as at the helm of this program, and it all rolled into one to make a great journey. And we wish we had a couple more chapters to write, but it was really an interesting trip with these young men, the things that we went through. I think what made it, a real special journey is the fact that it was a tough journey in the beginning, and it's been well documented, the start that we had. It's been well documented how these young men stayed in there with it, and we did some special things at the end. And in many races, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And we did a pretty nice of finishing this race this year.
Yeah, certainly so. Wisconsin went 21-5-5 and basically had to win each and every night to get an NCAA tournament bid. And on top of that, home ice too, which was so very critical and led you into the XL Energy Center in St. Paul for the Final Five, where you win 3 games in 3 days. And this is a trophy, the Broadmoor Trophy, you'll gladly put on your mantle and keep there a long, long time.
Yeah, we got a spot for it in the trophy case already, and it's a nice little thing to have because it represents, it's kind of a physical representation of how far we came and the good things that we did this year. And interesting that it was the last year, the WCHA, and you know what, we might just keep the permanent one here for a long time.
That would be nice. You talked about how the young men bought in and hung in too. Yeah. They certainly could have peeled away, but they stayed together as one unit and prevailed, didn't they?
Well, I think they did, and that's one of the reasons that we had success at the end of the season. It was you were around at that time, Brian, and it was tough. You come to the rink every day, you're not getting any positive feedback from your games, and it was a grind to come in. And every day we had a choice to make about how we were going to handle the situation we were in. I think that was a silver lining that was in this tough times, that we learned about life. And those life lessons helped us on the ice and eventually helped us become the champions that we did for the Broadmoor Trophy.
Yeah, Mike, a number of your players have talked about that, how you're an excellent coach, but you also teach life lessons. That's so very important to you, I can tell. It always has been.
Well, they're one and the same. The Navy SEALs have a quote, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And in hockey is that. The way you treat the things that you do around hockey is the same way you'll teach your academics, is the same way you'll teach your personal life. And if you're doing it with excellence in mind, then excellence is going to flow through all those areas of life.
Yeah, we saw a lot of great individual performances this season. The development of freshman Nick Kurdilis, who averaged a point per game, and Michael Mersch scoring 23 goals, one of the top goal scorers in the country, just to name a pair.
Well, there was a lot of, fine efforts individually. You take a look at Joel Rumpel. Joel had great numbers. Landon Peterson had good numbers too, and they pushed each other. We saw the emergence at the end of the year of Tyler Barnes catching on fire, and how the line of Zengerle and Tyler and Nick, were one of the hottest lines in the country. So there was a lot of great performances, and one of the reasons that we had the success at the end is because we had good performances from all our guys on the team. They accepted their role, they excelled at their role, and that's what happens when you have a team.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to next season and beyond for the Wisconsin Badgers, and we'll talk more about that coming up after this from Charter.
Men love sports, but men can't always be at home with Charter TV watching sports. So men do what men have to do. They watch live ESPN on their mobile devices. Not simulated sports, real sports. Live ESPN, anytime, anywhere. Even here. Watch ESPN is available at no extra charge for Charter TV customers. Download the app or visit charter.net/on-the-go.
Well, the Wisconsin Badgers season ended in Manchester, New Hampshire at the Northeast Regional, where UMass-Lowell beat the Badgers. 6-1 was the final score. Really, I think that the game was closer than that, Mike. And, you know, UMass-Lowell is a heck of a good team. Experienced, too, having been to the NCAA tournament the year before. But I believe this can be something that your young men who return can grow on.
Well, it was interesting talking to Coach Shuchuk about this fact, and he was saying how the UMass kids said their experience last year was a real teaching point for them this year, and how hard and how well you have to play. And I know that the game that unfolded before our eyes was not one we had seen in the last 2 months, for sure. We gave up a lot of odd man rushes. The interesting thing about the game, though, it was 3-0. We made it 3-1 halfway through the third, and John Ramage was alone out front, shorthanded. Pushed the puck over the net, and then Nick Cordelis had a good opportunity that hopped over his stick. So the guys did not quit and falter by any stretch. As a matter of fact, watching the games, we did a lot of the things that we wanted to do, that we felt we had to do against that team. The things that we didn't expect was the odd man rushes against the 2-on-1s and the 3-on-1s that were so uncharacteristic of us. But you have to give UMass-Lowell a little credit. Their transition was very good, and they took advantage of it.
Yeah, I would say UMass-Lowell might be the favorite to win the Frozen Four in Pittsburgh. They get Yale. St. Cloud State, congratulations to Bob Motzko, takes on Quinnipiac. Who you picking?
You know what, I'm hoping that St. Cloud will win it because they're from our league. But I believe in my heart that any team can win it there. Those teams are all playing well. They are playing at a really high tempo. They're competing their fannies off, and they all have good goaltending. The thing you can't measure right now, Brian, is that the guys have 2 weeks off. Mm-hmm. Any kind of momentum they had going into the regionals, that might dissipate because of the time off. And now, you know, I was talking to Bob Motzko a little bit yesterday about what do you do with your kids? You can't grind them to the ground now, or they won't have any spark left for there. So you try to find that balance. So we talked about a few things, but it's really a little bit of roll of the dice. What team is going to be able to come out of the break and keep that intensity and that specialness that they had?
Yeah. Mike, you had 3 seniors this season, John Ramage, Ryan Little, and Derek Lee, who gave everything they had to this program.
Yeah, and you know, it's your last game and you're in the locker room. One of the things that you have to do is acknowledge the seniors and what they've meant. And it's a tearful moment. You know, it's a big chapter of their life is closed. And one of the things that happens is everybody goes around and thanks the seniors for their efforts. And it's a real emotional time for everybody, because now they move on to the real world and chapters closed. So all 3 of those young men, you know, and Ryan was here 5 years with us. Certainly. He had 1 more year of us. So, but it's an emotional time, and they've done some real great things for our program.
Yeah. And if everybody stays together, plus your incoming freshman class next season, you should have a pretty good team. But the question is, will everybody stay together? It's probably a question you can't answer for a while.
No, it's one of the things that happens in our world. We'll sit down next week with all our players and kind of get an indication what their thought and plans are. But if everybody comes back, we'll have a veteran team, and we'll have a veteran team that had a whale of experience this year, and one that we would hope would springboard us to even go further next year.
And I mentioned your incoming class. There are 4 young men that will join the Badgers next season. One is Minnesota's Mr. Hockey, Grant Bessie, who knows how to put the puck away. That's always a nice luxury to have.
Yeah, you know, he has that disease that you don't teach. He can score, and he's done it all through his career. I think it's nice to have that commodity come to your mix, because you can never have too much of that. He's going to have to adapt. It's a big step going from high school hockey. He's not going to play any junior hockey, although he's playing a few games here this spring. But it'll be a step for him. And history tells us that usually by Christmas time, they're not freshmen anymore. So we'll bring him in, get him into the mix, see where he fits. But he does bring that commodity, being able to put the puck in the net. That's nice.
Yeah, and the second half a century of Wisconsin hockey will not be in the WCHA. It'll be in the Big Ten Hockey Conference. A lot of fans looking forward to this. I know you are, too.
Oh, I am. I'll be interested to see what it does when the average student on campus, who doesn't know a lot about hockey but hears that we're playing Ohio State, you know, I think those kids are going to be drawn because it is Ohio State. I think we're going to see an influx in student attendance at our games, and I think people are really going to enjoy the Big Ten Conference.
Mike, great time this season. Thanks for working
Thanks,
with me
Brian.
all year long.
Appreciate
we really
everything
enjoyed
you do
it.
for us.
Thank you very much. That's Badgers head coach Mike Eaves. We hope to see you at the rink next season. Wisconsin will start off the 2013-2014 campaign at the Kohl Center against Northern Michigan on October 11th and 12th. For Jay Williams, Mike Eaves, I'm Brian Posick. Thanks for watching the Badger Hockey Digest.